feel like I was the biggest Freaky Friday fan in the crowd. Welcome back to Movie Rebrew Half Pour Edition. That's a working title. I am Michael Jennison, and we will be reviewing Freakier Friday. And I'm assuming if you listen to the rewind, you are aware of who my guest is going to be on this pod back way sooner than anyone would have thought. My sister, Megan.
Thanks for having me back. Glad to be the resident Freaky Friday guest.
Freaky Friday specialist. Yeah, I'll link the rewind in the description of this video. Essentially, it did very well. It's the best podcast since we've been back. It did so well that it felt wrong not to review this. And I had actually been debating doing something like this, a little bit of a smaller podcast that's just on YouTube for like current movies that probably aren't worth doing a whole rebrew, but worth at least reviewing. So this was kind of something I had my head in mind, and then it kind of just worked out well. So, Megan, anything to say about how well that video did, to the shock of everybody?
Yeah, it's good to see there was Freaky Friday fans out there, and I feel like it was just, people were ready for the sequel.
They were, and I think I thought a month ago when you brought up that a Freaky Friday sequel was happening, I thought this was gonna be straight to Disney Plus. I did not realize how beloved Freaky Friday was. But it's like I said on the rewind, I did not respect this movie until I rewatched it. And so we will be doing Freakier Friday. I got it right this time, Megan. And we're going to cut a lot of the fat you typically get in a rebrew podcast episode, but I will still be drinking a beer. And Megan, I tease this a little bit to Megan. I actually saw this beer about 2 weeks ago and nearly bought it just out of whim because I was so intrigued by it. And then when I kicked around this idea of doing a rebrew on Freakier Friday, I knew I had to get this beer. This beer works much better with the first one than this one. They switch bodies in a Chinese restaurant in the first one. This one, they do not. Spoiler alert. However, it is a very freaky and weird beer. So what I have for you today is puffed rice Chinese pale ale. I've never had a Chinese pale ale in my life. That's why I was intrigued by it. And then also puffed rice. Sounds really interesting. I think it's going to be like sake, but it's beer. So I imagine there's hops in it. So I don't know. I'm really intrigued. 7.5%.
Wow, yeah, I was on the edge of my seat. Can I see the can?
Yeah, here's the can. It's a really, really pretty can.
Ooh, all right. Well, you'll have to let us know.
It's actually brewed in China. So that's cool too. I don't think I've ever had a Chinese beer. So
cool.
There's a really nice
there's
a really nice liquor store / beer store in Napa that has a lot of interesting there's a large Asian population in the Napa area, and there's like a ton of Asian beers. And this one caught my eye. And I love sake. Big sake fan. So I'll take a sip before we start. It's a little fruity smelling. I was also worried that I would buy this drink and then it would just sit in my fridge forever. So I need an excuse to buy it. That's interesting.
Are you getting sake?
No, I'm not getting sake. It almost tastes like a Belgian beer. It almost tastes like a Stella. Interesting. It's not bad at all. I actually quite like it a lot. Does not taste like an IPA whatsoever. Like there's like no hops to it. Anyways, let's get into the movie.
You can't handle the truth.
She's gone from suck to blow.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
Freakier Friday takes place 22 years after the original. Lindsay Lohan's back playing Anna, and Jamie Lee Curtis is back. Jamie Lee Curtis' character is back. And in this one, Anna has a 14, 15-year-old daughter. She's a freshman and sophomore in high school throughout the course of the movie, named Harper. But there's no creepy, weird love interest in this one. Unfortunately, fortunately, it depends how you look at it. And Anna is about to marry a man who is going to move to London. And this man also has a daughter. And then there's a four-way swap, and we'll get more into spoilers here in a bit. But that's probably all I want to say at this point. There's still showy monologues. There's a lot of surprise cameos, including an Easter egg from a different Lindsay Lohan movie. Wonder if Megan caught it.
I caught it.
You caught it right away?
Oh, yeah.
I caught it right away too. Okay, sweet. And there's still movie in this. There's still movie in this. There's still music in this one. Yeah, so it's definitely a similar spirit to the original. But Megan, without spoiling, what'd you think of Freakier Friday? I know you're coming straight out of the theater too, so it might be raw, but what'd you think of Freakier Friday?
Yeah, I was gonna say this is right out of the theater, so I haven't had a chance to sit with this, but I don't think it's a shock for you to hear this, but I thought it was freaking amazing.
All right.
Pun intended. No, I thought it was really good. I don't want to get into any spoilers, like you said, too early on, but it far succeeded what I thought a sequel would for this movie. I would give it a 8.5.
8.5. And I assume that's a thumbs up. Would you watch it again?
Yes, absolutely. Probably in theaters.
All right. Megan, do you think I like this movie? I'm curious.
I know.
What do you think my thoughts on this movie are?
So I'm watching it thinking Michael already saw this. Did he like it? And I think you thought it was very good and a good sequel, but I don't think you thought it hit quite the mark you were hoping for.
Okay. When we did the rewind, remember I said that middle portion, that middle 30-minute portion was it was cute, but kind of filler and just I don't know, didn't really do much for me. That's kind of how I feel about this whole entire movie.
Oh.
I think there's a lot of cute scenes. I think a lot of people who really like the original will be happy with this. Jam-packed with cameos and characters coming back from the original. And I think there's a lot there for those fans. I just wish it got zanier. In sequels, you got to rev it up a notch, and they actually, I think, toned it down. I think they played it quite safe, if I'm being completely honest with you here. I thought Jamie Lee Curtis's character was an absolute standout once again. Dare I say, better than the original? I think it was. I think she was funnier, and I think that character was a truer character. And I actually didn't mind the new additions to the cast. I thought they were pretty good characters as well. This movie I think they could have done a better job of, and I guess I don't want to necessarily get into spoilers here, but I think a big part of the original one was the intensity that was built by two kind of things happening at once. The wedding and then Lindsay Lohan's character trying to make the audition. I don't think there was quite the suspense in this one because they didn't do a very good job of building up the new Harper character, and they focused most of their time on Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis, which I think was a disservice to the movie. I understand why they did it, but I don't think there was that same drama and edge that the original one had, and also just not as zany and not as funny as the original either. So for me, I'm giving this a 4.8, a thumbs down. I would never watch this movie again. I would watch the original. I don't really know what purpose watching this one again would say. But with that said, I do have a lot to say about this movie, Megan. So we will get into spoilers now.
I'll just break my heart live on air.
Hey, I'm here to be honest, and that's my honest take.
Hey, I'm happy you liked the first one as much as you did. I'll take it.
Were there any scenes that stood out to you before we get into everything, Megan?
Call back to Baby One More Time in the record shop.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, right when John Montgomery walks in, Jamie Lee Curtis is holding up the vinyls, and she holds up Britney Spears first, which is hilarious.
Yeah, and you got it playing in the background too. And at first you're just like, oh, they're still just playing 90s music because they had the Spice Girl song playing in the last scene. And then you're like, oh no, this is very intentional. This is awesome. Yes.
These two movies, they do a really good job of music in the background means something. And here they for sure did this with that record scene. That was probably my favorite scene in the middle portion. I thought that was just really funny.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that they played Spice Girls when the older generation was on screen. So it was when the younger daughters were in the body. And then it was very almost hard for us, I would assume, when you hear the jokes about John Mayer and Coldplay and Chumbawamba, and you're thinking, oh no, this is how my mom felt when they were saying Stevie Nicks and those kind of callbacks. It was kind of like, oh, we're the old ones now.
Yes, you brought up two good things. When they said the John Mayer thing, it was a mixture of laugh, Megan, and like it was like a fuck. Because
Yeah, it was like a jab at John Mayer.
Yeah, exactly. I was listening to John Mayer radio as I was driving to watch this movie, and I just saw him at Grateful Dead and Company, and I love John Mayer. And I've brought him on this podcast multiple times. That hurt. It was like a half and chuckling. That was really good. Also, shout out to Keegan and Jacob Rossi. Keegan, me and Rossi did Chumbawamba shots back in undergrad. Because they say I take a vodka drink, I take a lager drink, take a whiskey drink. So you listen to that song and you have all those shots lined up and you pull them as
I never heard that.
Chumbawamba shots. The worst thing you could ever do.
That, I guess.
The last shot's cider, so it helps save the day, but man, hilarious. But yeah, the Chumbawamba, all those jokes hit for me. The Coldplay joke was really good too. Chuck loves Coldplay too. I was cracking up at that. It was like, let me find something old that a 6-year-old would listen to, and then she mentions Coldplay.
Yeah, and the Chumbawamba, I Get Knocked Down, singing it out loud kind of reminded me a little bit of like the belting out the Baby One More Time in the original movie. That was a funny scene.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're doing a good job of making me like this movie a little bit more, Megan. I'll be honest with you here. This middle portion's entertaining. Like I was never bored watching this movie. However, it's really hard I find so many things wrong with this movie that it's hard for me to get there higher than a 4.8. Entertaining. This middle portion's better than the middle portion of Freaky Friday. But I think from just a storytelling element, they made some mistakes here. And I think they ruined really good acting performances from the actors because it's not the actors' fault.
I think if you look at it more as like a love letter to the fans of the original movie instead of like quite, what you would expect out of a perfect sequel. But I do see what you're saying. I just think I'm a little easier to please.
I hope I made that clear. I think I said this was in the same spirit as the original. Maybe I can make that more clear. If you liked Freaky Friday, you would love this movie. Like if you are one of those fans, like it does a lot of catering to them. And yeah, so I don't want to feel like I'm poo-pooing on this. I think this works for a lot of different people. But once again, am I the target demo? I'm a 29-year-old male in 2025 when this movie came out, but I am not the late 30s, mid 30s, Megan, sorry to offend you. Early 30s. I'm sorry. That was so offensive. Early 30-year-old millennial girl who liked Spice Girls growing up. I'm not that person, and I'm also not 14. But I think this would totally plays for those people. Totally plays.
I could tell you liked it, and I could tell you liked the parts. You got to be a little critical here and there. The one other thing I did just want to make sure we didn't leave out was I could not believe that maybe that was naive of me, but I could not believe that they kept up with the Chad Michael Murray and Jamie Lee Curtis like flirty vibe scenes, like so funny. I thought they might just scrap that, and they really ran with it, not just once.
Man, no, I agree, Megan. I was so happy that they did that. I love that Chad Michael Murray character. I love Chad Michael Murray. I wish there was a camera on me in theaters when he came on screen because I was essentially doing what Lindsay Lohan was doing. And I think everyone across America was too. Like,
same. Yes.
He's the fucking man. He's just, I mean, he's a Pixie Dream. He's the Pixie Dream Love Girl male version of the early 2000s. He's the best. And I love this character. And I'm glad, Megan, we talked about Chad Michael Murray and how you said that, it's Freaky Friday, even, he's falling under the spell. And maybe you could say the same thing here again. Maybe he only caught the bug this time. I think that's my biggest issue, though. I just wish it's like Chad Michael Murray was the only person who understood the assignment. And Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. All three of them are great in this movie. Everyone else, and probably no fault to the actors themselves, but let's have fun with this. Because Freaky Friday's fun. Freakier Friday is being too tamed. Get crazy. Get weird. I wanted
they
weird.
never fully lead into the unleashed nonsense. You kind of felt like they were getting there, and then it would kind of break out.
Yeah. So Megan, to answer your question, I loved the fact that he was still obsessed with Jamie Lee Curtis. I loved it.
Yeah,
it makes no sense, and I don't care. The third act of Freaky Friday makes no sense. That's why it's great. The movie's called Freakier Friday. You gotta rev it up. You have to go crazy with it, and they don't, and so that's why it's a 4.8. Because there was moments where they could have done it and they didn't, and it comes down to the writing. There's a lot of things about this writing that's better than the original, but dude, the last act, they just said, "F it, we're going for it." Here they just never get there. It's like they were afraid to do it. But they did it with Chamical Murray in the original, so they felt fine doing Chamical Murray again. They should have done it with somebody else, and they should have gave Harper a love interest. Why not? You're remaking the movie anyway. Just give her a love and give her something. Give her something. I needed more from her. They did it. They did that character disservice because I liked the character. I liked that she was a SoCal surfer girl. Like I was pumped. When they panned to LA. They panned down. Also, I know they don't state what city the original one's in, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, we were in LA the whole entire time.
I thought about that too. I was like, wait, did we know? Did they ever say it? Or
I was wondering if we were in San Diego for about 30 minutes. But then there was Capitol Records and very obviously LA. But yeah.
Yeah, they had to make sure they were by a beach too for the surfing.
I get it. I ranted. But that is how I feel about this movie.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think what it comes down to is there's just so many characters they have to work with this time. It's double. Literally double. So there's only so much. But yeah, I mean, Chamical Murray, like you said, he understood the assignment. He does a good job of being a funny character without being over the top goofy. Like his comedic timing for this role is just awesome.
It's like the role he was meant to play.
Yeah, he's so good.
He's so good at it. And I agree, Megan. I agree. Like, it never comes off that it's like, all right, cool it. Because typically I can maybe like dislike these characters. I don't. It's probably because he's so damn attractive, but I like he plays it. It's this very weird, hard thing to this very fine line that he straddles throughout this movie. Chuck's gonna love that line. This very fine line that he stays on, where he still comes off like cool, like he's a cool guy, but he's also like this really weird guy at the same time. Like I said, the lamest cool guy ever. They got that vibe perfect once again. And different writers, different directors, everything's different but the actor. I think it all comes down to Chamical Murray, man. He's very good in this role. Very good in this role.
Jumped right back in.
I need more of him. I just like when he comes back at the rehearsal dinner scene, like I needed more Chamical Murray. I needed more of him.
Yeah, I think if they had less storylines going on, you probably would have got more, but I was just pumped that it wasn't just a quick cameo with him.
Yeah, same. I was very, very nervous of that. I should say that I wasn't bored in this movie. I think it's very well paced. An hour 45. The original one was 89 minutes. This one is also really well paced as well, too, though. But now that we're getting into spoilers, Megan, it's like the original. I need more pink slip.
I see what they did there. They made you wait for it. You know, they built it up. They made you think, are they going to come back? Was that it? Was it just a quick cameo? At least that's how I felt.
Yeah, so I actually had it spoiled for me, unfortunately. When I was listening to the original soundtrack, I wanted to listen to, man, why can't I never remember that?
Take Me Away. Yeah, I know, we got to correct that. I was calling it Round and Round last
I call it Take It Away once, correct once, and then, yeah. When I went to listen to Take Me Away in the car, I just like didn't think anything of it, right? I just like clicked on Spotify, searched it, clicked it, and then I looked down and it was the Freakier Friday soundtrack. So I knew it was coming back, unfortunately. The movie starts off with pretty much everyone slowly getting reintroduced. I will say that I didn't realize how much I liked the character of Ryan, played by Mark Hamill, as much as I did. That when Jamie Lee Curtis calls him from from a different room, and they don't show him, and I'm like, oh, is Ryan not going to be in this movie?
Michael, I did the same thing.
Yeah,
I was heartbroken for like, yeah, I don't know, 10 minutes till they showed him. I was like, that was it. That was just a little nod to Ryan. We're not getting him live.
yeah, and they did that one picture of like them on vacation, right? Kind of like summing up what
Yeah.
happened since the last one. And I'm like, oh, there was a scheduling conflict. That's it. There was that, and then it's going to be like Jamie Lee Curtis is visiting her family. She's out of town now, and Mark Hamill's not going to be in this movie. And it's like they wanted to tease you because they didn't show him until finally he's fixing a car. You don't even see like his face at first. I think they did it on purpose, and it worked because for like 10 minutes, I was kind of like, they better have Ryan in this movie.
Me too. I was about to walk out of the theater. I was like, no, come on, just do it. Why wasn't he there? And then I think you're right. I was like, why would they a lot of people must have liked Ryan as much as me, Michael did, because they really hid him behind the car and they had a pretty good entrance for him. They teased us.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not really sure if people really do like that Ryan character. I feel like I'm on an island here. I feel like we're on an island here. And I also didn't even, that was like the litmus test. How much do you really like Ryan? We're going to pretend he's not in this movie. And to be honest, like it was distracting. I was so distraught for 10 minutes and everything else was happening breakneck speed. Oftentimes when you get these sequels and it's been a while, it's just nice to see people on screen. I found myself sitting in my seat smiling a lot. Me and Megan really got into the weeds with Freaky Friday, and I grew to love it throughout that process. And so every time a character came back in this movie, Megan, I don't know about you, I'm assuming it was the same. I smiled like when, at the bachelor party, when you get loads of characters from the original, that was super fun.
Yeah, we fortunately had no one in the theater with us. So I was able, I wasn't, doing anything crazy, but I was, quietly clapping, pumping my fist when somebody would come on screen. It was an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, so we'll do the same thing here. So before the body switching, what did you think of the four main characters? Now, Jamie Lee Curtis character, probably the closest to her character in the first one. I'll go first there, Megan. I thought it was fine. It seemed very believable. She was a little bit more, her hair's down and she was a little bit more chill. But typically when people age and their grandmas, usually they're less strict than they are when they're parents. So I think it completely worked. Thought it was funny that she had a podcast now. It really seemed very believable to the character. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that they also kind of wanted to show that, that body switch that took place years ago kind of also probably, made her laid back a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, with age, you just the grandma vibes were there. And she was adorable. Yeah, I love that she was a podcaster. I thought that was funny and a nice little twist for like a modern day, what somebody in that career could be doing.
Absolutely. Lindsay Lohan's character, Anna, what'd you think of her now, 22 years later?
Yeah, I like that she was a movie producer. I thought it was cute that they showed her like still playing guitar in the house. So you were like, okay, she still got that,
Yeah.
still doing something with her craft.
Yeah, the opening scene where she's shredding, I knew that was going to be fake. I'm surprised Pink Slips made it though. That kind of caught me off guard, that they were a legit like band that had vinyls and like were touring and stuff. Then the two new stars of this movie, Julia Butters plays Harper. It is Anna's daughter, Lindsay Lohan's daughter in this movie. I liked her. I think her being a surfer checks out. Made me miss Southern California, being away from it for a bit. I think that checks out. Seemed very believable. I liked her. I thought she fit the vibe very well of what we were looking for. And I really actually really liked Lily, Sophia Hammond's character. She's British. And she wants to be a designer. And she is the daughter of Lindsay Lohan's love interest and rival to Harper, high school rival to Harper. I thought both of those characters were nice additions.
Yeah, me too. I like that they gave Harper a different kind of like hobby or.
I agree. I wish we knew more of her friends. I think that. Yeah, I think that was a big mistake on their part. Where it was just like she had no life. Like I did not know much about her other than she likes to surf.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, did you clock the body switch in this one?
course. I set my stopwatch on my watch for this. Of course I did. Care to guess?
Perfect.
That was literally the next thing I was about to ask.
Oh no. So I was going to and I didn't. And I thought about it after, but I was like, I'm sure Mike did.
I did.
I have a feeling it was
And my theater was very crowded.
I was gonna ask you, we could talk about that.
My theater was very crowded. I had a stopwatch on, but I had it like my watch, as long as it's not flipped up, it's dark. So I had it just like that the whole entire time.
Yeah.
And then as soon as they switched, I popped my watch up and it stopped. People were like, what is this weirdo?
Block it. Okay, I think it was a little earlier than the original I was thinking. So maybe like, I don't know, the 20-minute mark?
27-minute mark. And this movie's about
Oh, a
15
little
minutes
longer.
longer. So if you do the math, I think it's the same percentage. Which I that's what I was looking for. It felt very similarly paced movie. I mean, this movie is almost a carbon copy of the original, which I'm okay with. I'd rather them do this than do a remake. What'd you think of the swap, Megan, in this one? No longer at a Chinese restaurant, now done by like a poor palm reader.
I thought it was cute the way they had it happen at the bachelorette party. Just that scene in general was a good way to bring in some of the characters from the original movie. A fortune teller this time I thought was a nice twist because they did have the mother and daughter duo from the Chinese restaurant there. So, everyone's there thinking, oh, they're going to get involved, they're going to step in. But I thought it was a fun twist that they went a different route with that, kind of kept you on your toes.
Yeah, I agree. I felt the same way. But the palm reader I thought was funny. I thought it was a good way of doing it. And I agree. The red herring of the Chinese restaurant owners being there at the bachelorette party, but then not actually being involved in the body swap was nicely done. I think that they did a good job of it. It was played for laughs very well, reading the palms, and I think it was good.
Yeah, she was a really funny character that they introduced with her different jobs and all that. Yeah,
for sure. Vanessa Bayer is her name of SNL.
there we go.
Yeah,
She's in Toy Story.
Yes, she's quite funny. I was happy to see her. I think that was perfect casting there.
Agree.
So they swap. Lindsay Lohan, Anna swaps with her daughter Harper, which makes sense. And then they decided to make Jamie Lee Curtis swap to she swaps with Lily, which I actually thought was a really good idea too, because we get really, really funny Jamie Lee Curtis content when she's in Lily's body. To me, that was the funniest parts of the movie.
Yeah, I think that, so in general, the four-way swap, I think, was extremely necessary, although very, very hard to follow at times.
Yes. I found my brain hurting of who was in
Yes.
whom. And I had to keep reminding, okay, Anna and Harper switch places because it's mother and daughter. Like, I had to keep thinking that in my head.
Exactly. I had like a little like formula I was using. Okay, I was like, okay, remember mother, daughter, and then remember that Anna and Tess don't switch again.
I think the issue with Lindsay Lohan is that most of her scenes are with Jamie Lee Curtis, and Jamie Lee Curtis is so great in this role, just playing a 15-year-old. Like, she's so good at this. And so she overshadows a lot of Lindsay Lohan for me here. But Lindsay Lohan, when she meets Chad Michael Murray, I thought she did a very good job there of just being weird and awkward, like a 15-year-old would be with a guy, just not knowing how to flirt. Like, I thought all of a sudden that was kind of Lindsay Lohan's probably best performance in the whole entire two movies. So I really actually like that. And the daughters were good. I thought I would kind of wish they got more screen time. They kind of got ripped off, I kind of think, but this is Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan's movie at the end of the day. But yeah, I thought all four did a fine job.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts of the swap, that you got to see Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis work together this time in the body swap, because they weren't on screen a lot together last time. So that was a really fun play on that. And then the fact that they were both playing the younger daughters in the movie was just awesome, because you got to see them act like teens again.
Yeah, and they're like the veterans, I thought that was cool. I thought that
it had to be so fun filming it outside of the movie with those two together. So that was really cute.
Yeah, for sure. I thought this middle portion was fine. Might have actually been better than the original, believe it or not. I think it was. I guess this is a good time to say the Easter egg and cameo, Megan. Are we thinking of the same one? I imagine we are. From a different Lindsay Lohan movie. So you caught it right away.
Meredith Blake.
Yes. Elaine Hendricks, Meredith Blake in this one. She popped on screen. I was like, holy shit. Damn. Parent Trap. And then today, Megan, I just wanted to fact check before I came on here and said it. It is her. And believe it or not, her character in this movie is Blake Kale. So even more of a wink.
I didn't notice the name until I came home too and looked it up to see what her name was.
Oh,
in the
you
movie
did
to see
too?
if there
Yeah.
was-
Yeah, we did the same thing.
There's an Easter egg there, and I was like, oh, Meredith Blake, Blake Kale, that's cute. Good way to do it.
And she calls her puss in this movie. I missed that. I caught that today because it's starting to make a little bit of headlines that she's in this movie.
Yeah, I just saw the headline too. I didn't clock it when I was watching the film.
No, I didn't. For the most part, I feel bad for the daughters because I think they had less to work with, but I found their whole storyline during this stretch to be kind of boring compared to what was going on with Tess and Anna.
Yeah, no, Jimmy, I'm even having a hard time. Like, they were in detention. There wasn't too much to work with there, but I did love the teacher callback. I wasn't sure if he'd make an appearance because he was such like a pretty side character, but that was awesome. So.
Everyone makes an appearance. Everyone makes an appearance. Even the younger brother who was in there for 2 seconds and does a toast, he made an appearance. I was pumped. I was pumped to see that.
I was hoping he was in it more, but at least they brought him back.
Yeah, at least they brought him back. We haven't talked about the love interest, Anna's love interest in this one. Eric, man, they give him the most generic names ever in this. The guy's most generic names ever. Eric, played by Manny Jacinto. I don't know. I'm slaughtering that. Did you like that character, Megan? He's a chef. He's British.
Yeah, I thought the chef thing was cute. They kind of really pushed him off to the side, I would say, but then he comes at the beginning. But the parts they do highlight him. He seems like a good guy, good character, a good love interest that you'd want Anna to end up with.
Yeah, he's very much Ryan vibes, for sure.
Yes.
Up until him having a monologue that's extremely similar to Ryan, but not as good. So instead of the rehearsal dinner, it's essentially rehearsal dinner again. I forget what they call it, but it's essentially rehearsal dinner again at Eric's restaurant. And here, the girls come up with a plan that they want to break up Anna and Eric, and they think that they'll be able to switch bodies at this point. Ultimately, Megan, it does not, it works out. And Eric calls off the wedding. Chemical Murray's there and stuff like that too. I don't know about you, but it was very obvious to me that they were going to still get married. So this didn't really carry that much emotional weight to me. I don't know. And here's where my biggest issue is that there's not this other thing going on. There's not them like there's no band issues, right? Like, I don't know, like Harper doesn't have this side story that's creating tension. It's just like she doesn't want to move and she's upset about that, which is fine and all. But I think what makes the other one so good is that it kind of just feels like it keeps getting revved up more and more and more and more and more as the movie's going on. And you have this concert thing that you're worried about. And you have like the love triangle dynamic that you're worried about on top of the fact that you're worried about Ryan and Tess's relationship actually working out. Here, they take away the love triangle, which they should. You couldn't bring that back. That was very wrong on many different levels, but it works from an entertainment standpoint. And then you also just didn't do a very good job of building up the Harper character. So there's not that intensity here. It's just kind of whatever. And that's my biggest issue with this movie is that at the rehearsal dinner, Megan, like the rehearsal dinner, when I said I was about to run through a wall and Chad Michael Murray's there and all this stuff, all this crazy stuff's happening here, it's like, whatever.
I see what you're saying, because at this point of the movie, it's more everyone's coming together and they're all basically back into the same storyline.
Yeah.
You're kind of knowing something's going to happen, but I know what you mean. It's very different from the way you feel during the first movie.
Absolutely. Good guy Ryan. He gives another monologue, Megan. I don't know about you, but I was pumped again. I fucking love Ryan.
I know. I noticed that. I was like, yes, let him do it.
It was kind of forced, but I didn't really give a shit. It was just really funny. I like they made Ryan just to be the ultimate good guy in this movie, which like he ultimately was the ultimate good guy in the first one too. The pickleball scenes I really liked. Him calling out the Lily taking Tess's pill, her calcium pill. And then he has this really good monologue where Lily, who's
Really
Ryan's just
anti-Tess.
yeah, and so he's really talking to Jamie Lee Curtis, but he doesn't realize he is, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just letting her. She needs her space right now." He does it like in a really cool way, and it's
Oh
awesome.
yeah, I'm sorry. You had it right. Yeah, that at that point he's talking to Lily. Yeah, that was awesome. And like you said, to at that part of the movie, they had a lot of ends to tie up too. So there was a lot of those little sub-story monologues going on.
Yeah, there was a lot of loose ends that they had to tie up, and I just yeah, I think that Ryan's character was good. I really liked that monologue once again. That was definitely a callback. It's funny when we were talking about that on the rewind, I was like, I feel like this is a very forgotten scene, and it took me forever to try to find a soundbite from that line. But they really knew what they were doing here as far as like giving the fans what they want. Gave another dynamite monologue from Ryan. That was really, really cool. So yeah, I really like the Ryan monologue. At the same time, about 5 minutes later, they give Eric a monologue that is very similar to Ryan's OG monologue. Megan, Eric's or Ryan's monologue, which one was better? And I think that's just so rude for me to do.
Yeah, they had the stepdads go head to head here.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a sucker for Ryan. We all know this.
yeah.
But I thought he did a really good job. I thought the fact that they had those little scenes, what the characters think of the character. Am I making any sense? You know what I'm saying?
It's once again, they do a good job of the characters talking to somebody because they feel comfortable talking to that person, but the whole entire time they're talking about the other character. Um, Harper realizes how much her soon-to-be stepdad Eric really loves Anna, and it kind of blows her away and really changes her perspective on her. And she realized that she's selfish. She's selfish that she doesn't want to move to London when her mom has found a great husband. See, Megan,
Yes.
I can carry the plot for once.
Perfect, because I was spinning out of control there. Yes.
Yeah,
That was a good way of putting it, and a good way to show that character come around to the new family aspect.
it's beat for beat similar to the first one. Here's the thing though. I'm not a stickler for that. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with 22 years later they're remaking it but making it a sequel. Like I said, much rather see a sequel than a remake. And so I was cool with that. I was actually really, really cool with that. I'm fine that a lot of this is like kind of the same lessons because I think there's a lot of like beauty. Ready? This is when I get serious here. I think there's a lot of beauty to uh, a lot of times you don't say what you actually feel about a person to their face, but you will say it to your spouse. You know, you'll say it to your best friend. And I think that's kind of beautiful here. That's like the reoccurring theme here is that if you walked around in someone else's shoes for a little bit, that you would have a whole entire different perspective on things. And that is a beautiful lesson. And so I think that's fine for another generation that they're kind of hammering that home. So I'm fine with them kind of stealing the meaning of this story beat for beat because I think it's a beautiful story and I think it's a timeless story. And there's a reason why they've made 9 of these. I don't know if it's 9,
Yes.
but it's close. It's close. Is that where you're getting at, Megan?
Yeah, I totally agree. And even with this one, you had even more components of the sister and the stepsister coming together, just a few different family aspects that they even brought in. So that was very touching.
Yeah, and I tried my best, Megan, when I watched these movies to think about like you and Amy when you guys were in your early tweens. You would have loved this movie. You would have loved those two characters. There's like the fashion aspect of it all and stuff. Like
Oh, absolutely.
and one's a tomboy. You know, you got a little bit of everything out there for those girls, and so I think I think those are two great characters. I just wish they would have gave them more screen time, built those characters a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm glad you like their characters too, because they were coming in to fill really big shoes, being alongside the original characters. And I agree. I was like, honestly, I'm never like the person that's like, oh, I can't wait to see a spinoff with those characters. But if they gave me a spinoff with these characters, I'd be perfectly fine with it. Thought they were great.
I thought they were great too. I thought they were great too. I understand why they did it the way they did it, but I think it's almost a disservice to the movie as a whole to give Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan so much screen time. But you have to do it. Like, imagine if Jamie Lee Curtis didn't switch bodies in this one. Because I was thinking about it. I was thinking, how would I rewrite this? Part of me thinks that Jamie Lee Curtis shouldn't have switched bodies, and Jamie Lee Curtis should have been a mentor to Lindsay Lohan in Harper's body, because she's the experienced one that knows what to do this here. Part of me thinks that, but is that interesting? It's not interesting. I'd much rather see Jamie Curtis inside a 15-year-old making all those jokes. So so I understand they did what they had to do. I can't think of a better premise that they could have ran with, and I'm sure they couldn't either. There was many people in a room thinking about the best way of handling this, and I think they ultimately probably did what was best to make a profit and to make what's entertaining. We got off topic, but that's fine because we're about to talk about the best part of this whole entire series, Pink Slip. It ends like the original. They go to a concert, and you know Pink Slip's coming at this point. Here's my issue with this, Megan. Well, I did. Unfortunately, I did.
So from my perspective, I came to terms. I was like, again, I'm a very naive person watching movies.
Yeah.
So I came to terms. I was like, man, why wouldn't they at least give Pink Slip like a karaoke scene at the bachelorette party if they weren't going to give us a big last performance? And then they walked out, and I was pumped.
Yeah. I will say that it's almost like they did such a good job of knowing what we wanted. They really did.
I know, it was like they were inside our minds. Like, maybe it's just, yeah.
Yeah, all the characters are back. Like, all the like you said, Megan, make good choices. Like, that comes back. They give Ryan a monologue again. Like there's like, they must have had a group of Freaky Friday super fans and had a whiteboard, and they said, what do you like about the original? We will shoehorn all of it into this movie. Because they hit them all, right? Is there anything left on the floor? Nothing's left on the cutting room floor.
Agree. Sometimes when you get sequels, you're missing out. And sorry, go ahead.
No, and they did a good job of it. Didn't really ever feel forced. It really didn't. Maybe I'm a Freaky Friday super fan.
No, I agree. You got everything you wanted, but it didn't feel forced.
It didn't. And kudos to them. And so here we go. What do you think of the new song?
I think the song is very cute. I need to give it a few more listens. It'll probably make me cry now that I know it's a mother-daughter song. That was the big twist too. You thought it was about Jake the whole movie. But
though it's very obviously not about Jake once you actually listen to it. I will say that.
Yeah. I thought that I was kind of hoping, I feel like you're probably going to say the same thing. I kind of was hoping it had a little bit more of like a rock feel to it.
Yeah, the song sucks. If that song is great, it probably changes my rating by about 3 points. That's how much I love Pink Slip. That song's not very good. That song's boring as hell. Song's bad. I get what they're trying to do with it. Man, they should have stuck in the lab for another 2 weeks and come up with something better than that. That song's bad. That song sucks, and that song is a detriment to this movie.
I think they lean too much into it being a mother-daughter song instead of making it like a pop rock hit. Like, give us Ultimate, 2.0.
Hey, they could have done it differently because I love the music in this. They could have done like a different scene where she maybe plays an acoustic guitar for her daughter.
Yeah.
I don't know, something else. But then be like, hey guys, and this is where I actually thought of a better plot. She's been writing Pink Slip songs for the last 10 years because she misses you guys. And there's this really good new Pink Slip song that she hasn't shown it because she's so focused on her craft. And here it goes. And just make it rock.
Like that.
Make it awesome.
Yeah, or they take the lyrics and put their own spin on it. Sometimes they do that. They just give them
something else. That song wasn't it.
I think the only thing that works here, though, is the fact that it's quickly on and over so that they put it before the new rendition of Take Me Away.
Yeah. It almost felt
It
like
had to be in that order.
it almost, yeah, exactly. But it almost feels like they were aware that that song wasn't that good. And like, this might take me away. You guys like that one? How about Ultimate not being played? That was wild.
Yeah, we'll get it was at the credits. You heard that, right?
Oh, no, I left. I don't do
All right.
post credits. If you want me
All
to
right.
stay and watch a movie, put it before. So I die on that hill, guys. You might upset you guys, but if you want me to watch it, put it before the credits. I did a
Well,
double
they
feature.
quickly-
I did a double feature here. I had to go to the bathroom. I had another movie coming in 15 minutes.
So what they did with Ultimate in this movie is they had a cover version of it done by The Beaches. Have you ever heard of that band?
I know the beaches. Yes.
Okay. I haven't. But are they an indie pop
Yeah.
type?
That's
Okay.
fun. Yeah, that's fun.
So my thought was on that was that they purposely had a cover of a popular sound right now, which is that indie pop genre with like the Gracie Abrams and those kind of sounds. And they wanted an all-girl band. So is The Beaches an all-girl band, I take it?
Yes.
Okay, or girl band. So I think that was the point of that. But yeah, they just put it at the credits, so it was just a little something extra for you on the soundtrack. But it wasn't played in the movie, which it could have been put in there probably. I guess you had to pick one.
Yeah, to pick one. And honestly, Take Me Away is probably better. Though Ultimate, I think I like the way they did that, to be honest. I think that was probably the correct way of doing it.
Yeah, and I think I also noticed this too. I loved that them playing Take Me Away on the stage gave Anna, her chance to do her guitar solo finally on stage.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Because last time she wasn't in her body. So that was cute.
That is true.
Full circle moment.
Full circle moment. To be honest, Megan, they body swapped, and I totally forgot that was happening.
Oh, see, at this point, I was like, I was unwell. Pink Slip was on stage, and then the earthquake happened, and I was like, there's only one thing that could be following this. And I was right. We got Take Me Away. It was awesome. You weren't jazzed up at that point, at least?
I mean, unfortunately, I knew Take Me Away was going to be in this movie one way or the other, so that hurt. That hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the body swap happens, and I'm like it almost caught me off. It almost caught me off guard, which isn't good. Megan, I think the issue is that this is very much a beat for beat remake of Freaky Friday, which, like I said, it's fine. They did a sequel of it. The other one's done so well. Like those the toast. Like we don't have the adrenaline rush of her doing the House of Blues scene. We don't have that. And then we don't have like the aftermath, the fallback where you're like, are they going to get together? Are they not going to get together? And all this stuff happens. Like it just happens on stage. There's no beautiful words put to it that you so eloquently mentioned. It's just like done. And then they just rock out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think my 4.8, I will say this, Mike. I think my 4.8 was maybe a little bit too harsh. But it's not a thumbs up. It's a thumbs down. Like this is the issue a lot of times with sequels is that the original is usually so good that you can kind of get by making a movie. And I think this is like the movie. But the original is so good that they're able to get away with it. I think there's a lot of fan serving. Like I think, as we mentioned, like I was entertained. I can't say that the hour and 45 minutes sucked and that it dragged. It didn't. But it's just there's not a lot of suspense here. There really isn't.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. When you look at it line wise, but yeah, like I said, if you look at it more of just like a love letter, and if you're into sequels and just ready to see the characters again, I think it does the job.
It is a love letter to a beloved movie from 22 years ago that we never thought we were going to get a sequel because we thought Lindsay Lohan was going to be in prison at this point in time in her life. And she's sober and she looks great. Yeah. No, this is great. Yeah. Look, don't spin it that way. No, I think this is a love letter to all the Freaky Friday fans, all the Lindsay Lohan fans. It's weird, but I don't think it's a good movie. I'm sorry. I'm doing my job here. All right.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. You get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I can't give a thumbs up just because I respect it. I love
Yeah.
Freaky Friday. Go watch the rewind. I love Freaky Friday. And I think that plays a part. That plays a part.
I did think to myself though, if you are like a kind of a passive Freaky Friday fan, like maybe you watched the movie a bunch when you were younger and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go see this sequel. That's cool. They brought it back. I think it would make you want to go back and watch the first one again. Like if you didn't do the whole like watch the first one before I see the sequel thing, if you're just like, I know the storyline. I think it does like kind of a good encapsulation of the two movies together. Do kind of create a little like, what's the other word for a trilogy? Like
I'm clapping for Megan using encapsulation.
I almost said it wrong, but I think I said it right.
No,
You get what I'm saying. It kind of puts a nice little tie on it for the storyline and gives you a little something extra.
I agree. I think that I mean the funny thing is, and that's the beauty of doing the rewind, that's the beauty of this podcast, is that I never would have probably even rewatched Freaky Friday. But I think like we got so into it that like I watched this movie and I got everything. You know, like it was like I was so ready. I was so ready for this movie. But I agree. This movie would make you want to watch the first one if you hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah, it kind of just since it brings all the characters in and all the like you said, it has everything that you love about the first movie and you wanted to see. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I
Oh,
like how it spun directly to the wedding.
yeah.
Kind of like how it did in the first one after that scene, and you get Jake in the crowd with the look-alike Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. I literally cracked up at that. That was hilarious.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was funny they added that in because they really didn't have to do that. They could have just kept it kind of more serious and light and cute at the end there, and they still brought in Jake and brought in the joke. And I loved that it was the way that Tess looked exactly when they had that coffee shop scene,
Exactly.
like that exact look. Like it was just perfect.
Yeah. No, I agree. That was so funny. I cracked up at that and made me a little bummed. Like that is what I'm looking for here, guys. You had it there. They were afraid to do it with everybody else but Chad Michael Murray.
So was your full theater cracking up like at certain parts, or like was it like an experience with a big crowd?
Yes, but to be honest with you, Megan, I feel like I was the biggest Freaky Friday fan in the crowd. Because there was a couple when
It was opening weekend.
Yeah, it was opening week. When they said make good choices, I gasped.
I
It
love
was
that.
it was just funny because it was like
I was just curious because sometimes it does make a difference when you got like the opening weekend, you're there with all the fans and stuff. It's kind of fun to hear like the different takes and laughs and jokes.
I agree. I feel like I was giving more than anyone else there was. It was a pretty
You did your
stiff.
part.
It was a pretty stiff crowd, to be honest. But yeah, it was a crowded theater. I then saw Weapons afterwards, and that was a packed theater too. And man, Weapons is a great movie. Off topic, but what a good movie.
More to come.
More to come. Little tease. Going
Not
through my
for me.
notes, Megan, I see something that I was entertained. Oh wait, yeah, I was entertained. I'm glad I saw it, but this is a miss, and I think that's true. Ready for this to spin, Megan? I am a Freaky Friday purist, and I think that they could have done more with this. And
You said it had everything that they wanted.
I think I think that they did a lot of fan serving here, and it didn't really feel like fan serving. They did a good job of kind of putting a lot of it in there without making it feel forced. But I think that being true to Freaky Friday and that last 30 minutes of Freaky Friday is awesome and it's crazy and it's ridiculous. And that spirit, that Freaky Friday that I love is forgotten in this movie.
I think I just realized it. You didn't care that they had you liked that they had the same formula, but the formula does get skewed at the end, and they don't do the crazy wild ending.
I would almost debate that the first hour of this movie is better than I'm. There's no debate here. Like I legitimately think I like the first hour of this movie better than the last hour, than the original hour. But the last 45 minutes can't even touch the last 30 minutes of Freaky Friday. Not even close. Not even close. And like they didn't even try to go for it. And yeah, I mean, a lot of it is done in the writing early on. Like they just didn't have the material to get crazy and zany and out there with it because they didn't do a good enough job of building up the new young characters.
Yeah, and there was just so many storylines they had to
So many
finish.
storylines, so many characters and stuff. Like, and the movie's fine. I'm a tough critic, man. I'm not just giving out passing scores left and right. The Wes Anderson pod, you can listen to it. I go too easy on it. Keegan calls me out on it. He's right. That movie sucks. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a whole lot left to say, Megan. You got anything else to say?
No, I think that was it.
And see, that's the thing. Like as I said at the top, 4.8, but I have a lot of talk about this movie, a lot I like about this movie, but it's a 4.8.
I think that people would still be really happy to see it, and it still does the job. If you're not getting too particular.
I think that's fair. Yeah, a lot of people like this movie. A lot of people will. I meant to say
getting good reviews.
I meant to say as the top. It currently is sitting in the low 70s in Rotten Tomatoes, and it opened up second at the box office. But it hit its projections. So it did well at the box office. Weapons, man. Weapons was number one. Weapons is a great movie. Not for the Freaky Friday crowd, though. But that movie is very, very good. Maybe the best horror movie I've ever seen. But that's more to come with that. Megan, do you mind if I review the beer and call this a day?
Nope, go for it.
All right.
Michaels, are you okay?
It's just beer.
What kind of beer?
I'd like a keg of beer, please.
Hey, Johnny, how about a beer, huh?
Better when I'm drunk.
Puffed rice. Incredibly easy to drink. There's not a whole lot of flavor with it. And it weirdly tastes more like sake, kind of like that subtle sake taste. Once I got through like kind of half of the first one, it's a very smooth flavor. It does have a lot of sake notes to it. I actually really liked it. I mean, this is a one of a kind type beer, and it costs $20 for this 4-pack. So it's not a beer that people are going to drink very often, but I really, really dug it. I don't think it's going to be a staple by any means, but I really enjoyed it. I'd give it a 4.0 out of 5 on Untapped. Would I buy it again? Probably not. I would probably just buy sake because I like sake and it's about the same price and a little bit stronger and a little bit more elegant. Anything else, Megan, before we call this a day?
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been fun reliving this movie with you through the first and the second.
This was a lot of fun. This was just spur of the moment, and we just kind of rode the storm, rode the wave like Harper would.
Fair to say we made a bigger freaky fan than you thought out of you?
100%. 100%.
We did our job.
I enjoyed this. This was fun. This was a fun trip. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like a dick for my review on this movie, but I got to stay true to it. Like, there's a lot of things I like, but ultimately, like, I think this is a miss. But that is all. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Megan, for coming back on the pod. I appreciate it. Both of these pods were like spear of the moment. Let's do this type thing. So I appreciate you being flexible. This was YouTube only, so you're listening to us on YouTube. So follow, subscribe. Appreciate the support of the rewind. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, I think we'll do these mini pods more often in the future. That is about it. Keegan and Liam are coming on for a summer movie recap. That's going to take a long time. We're doing like 10 movies. That'll probably be the next like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks of content to looking forward to. That is all for now. I actually know when Megan's gonna be on this pod again, and I'm going to maybe force her hand here by saying it out loud. In October, I am bringing on multiple guests, and I give them one prompt. Their prompt is, pick me your favorite horror movie or Halloween movie, and we will rewind it. And I may call it something else. So that's probably the next time you'll see Megan. Anything to add to that, Megan?
I said, or Phantom of the Megaplex.
Oh my
thought
God.
about that today.
Actually. Holy hell, that'd be sick. Well, with that, that's a little tease. Later, guys. Peace.
Make good choices.
Once a year, when it comes, she disappears. Maybe she'll stay.